Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, Barakatam. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to Ya'akim out there pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. We're at the door, Akim, which you can clearly see if you're keeping your eyes in the news and in these scriptures. But I'm going to start this video off with Revelation chapter 7, verse 9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, which is Yahushai, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. And this great multitude of all nations, kindreds, peoples, and tongues is Israelites. The 1/3, which is going to be made up of Israelites who look like the traditional Israelites, such as you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, but also the confusion of face Israelites, which will come looking as all the nations of the earth, looking like so-called Chinese people, so-called Arab people, even so-called white people, because not all so-called white people are Edomites. They actually are a confusion of face Gentiles, which again will be a part of this great multitude. And this is not speaking of any of you other heathen nations, because no matter how many times we break it down on the highways and byways, people just don't seem to get it when the scriptures are there to clearly show that the covenant of the Most High is only for Israel, the nation of Israel, and not for you other nations. But we'll be getting more into this with this video. And also, when you go further up in this chapter of Revelation 7, you'll see that the 144,000 are made of 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. So that should be a clue there in itself, but I digress. And now I'm going to go to Revelation chapter 5. I'm going to start at verse 6. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne and of the four beasts, and in the midst of the elders, stood a lamb, as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of the Most High, sent forth into all the earth. And he came and took the book out of the right hand of him that sat upon the throne. And when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, which the Lamb again is Yahushai, and that book is speaking of these scriptures, which have been sealed up until around the time Abba Bivens came around and started preaching unto the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans that they were the true children of Israel. And you've seen the fruits of his labor, which have led all the way to GMS, or Great Millstone, which is the only Israelite camp out there that has 100% truth, waking up the 12 tribes, as well as the confusion of faces, which are Israelites, a part of that 12 tribes around the 4 corners of the earth, which again are a part of that great multitude of many nations of Revelation 7 and 9, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of the saints. Remember that key word saints, because we're going to come back to that later. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof. And again, those seals have been opened now, which is why you've got the men of the Lord, or the prophets, on the highways and byways preaching this word. For thou wast slain and hast redeemed us to the Most High by thy blood. Here's the point: out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation, and hast made us unto our power kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. And this is speaking of, again, the children of Israel, not any other heathen nation out there, because they're the only ones that have been afforded the promise of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, the only people that Yahushai came to save. And where it says, and has made us unto our power kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. This brings me to my next precept in Exodus chapter 19. I'm going to start at verse 5. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, above all other nations on the planet earth, to rule over them, because once we get into the kingdom, all these other nations of people are going to be subservient under us, similar to how all these nations are subservient under the so-called white man now, learning his ways such as democracy and capitalism. For all the earth is mine, and ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel, not the children of Moab, not the children of Ammon, not the children of Edom, but the children of Israel, a nation of kings and priests, taken again out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation, because the children of Israel were scattered to the four corners of the earth as punishment for going off from the covenants and the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai, which it speaks about in Deuteronomy chapter 28, I believe, starting around verse 49. And if you know Jake likes to have sex. So Jake wouldn't be going into these other nations of people and not popping their women, especially with our women having the curses on them and being damn near unbearable. So Jake would pop these women of these other nations, and that child would come out starting to look like those other nations, and then say that son popped another woman of that nation, and so forth and so forth. So that's where these Israelite foreigners came from, these confusion of faces out of every kindred, tongue, and people and nation. And even in the book of Nehemiah, they had a problem with that, because the children of Judah were sleeping with the women of the other nations around them at the time, and their children couldn't even speak Hebrew. They were speaking in the tongue of their mothers, so that's why they were cast away at that time, because it wasn't the time for the Gentiles to be fulfilled. But now we're in that time where the prophets are on the highways and byways and the chief places of concourse, speaking this word out, this new song, and recovering the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And where I told you to remember saints, we're going to further hammer in the point that it's only for Israel. This book was only written for Israel, and the promise is only for Israel. This is Psalms chapter 50, verse 5, not for this. She looks like an Elamite right there. Perfect representation. How it's not for her, but the children of Israel, unless she's a confusion of face Israel. Just a little side note. Psalms 50, verse 5. Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. And who are the only people that ever made a covenant to Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai by sacrifice? The children of Israel. This further brings me to Psalms 147, 19, and 20 to show that only Israel ever made sacrifices to the Most High, and only Israel was ever given the law, statutes, and commandments. Psalms 147, verse 19, He sheweth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye Yahweh. So again, point blank period. This truth is only for Israel, and that great multitude of out of all nations, kindreds, and tongues are confusion of face Israelites. And now I'm going to go to Psalms 148, verse 13 through 14. Let them praise the name of Yahweh, for his name alone is excellent. His glory is above the earth and heaven. He also exalted the horn of his people, and a horn stands for rulership or power, because animals that have horns, what's their main source of power? That horn. The praise of all his saints, even of the children of Israel, a people near unto him. Praise ye Yahweh. So as we keep going through all this book in the Old Testament and the New Testament, it's only Israel, only ever was for Israel. And for you people that think the New Testament did away with the Old Testament and allowed all nations to be saved, this is in the first book of Matthew, Matthew 1 and 21. And she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name, it says here, Jesus, but his real name is Yahushai, which means Yahweh saves. For he shall save his people from their sins. And who are the people of Yahushai? Israel. And Yahushai sprung forth out of the tribe of Judah, which are the so-called Negroes, or so-called African Americans, as it states in Matthew chapter 2, verse 5 through 6. And they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet, and thou Bethlehem in the land of Judah art not the least art not the least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. All the nations of Israel, because that's only who Yahushua is coming back for. And again, it's not based on skin color. So to any of the people out there that have heard this word and may look at like another nation and understand it, as it said back in Psalms 147, 19 and 20, he giveth his statutes, laws, and commandments unto Israel and no other nation. If you understand this word, then you're an Israelite no matter what you look like, and you've got a good chance of being beamed up on those chariots if you hearken unto this word and be a part of that great multitude of many nations, kindreds, and tongues. And now I'm going to go to Ephesians chapter 2, verse 1 through 3, to just further hammer in that point and to show that the Gentiles of the New Testament were Israelites. Verse 1, and you hath he quickened who were dead in trespasses and sins. And quickened means he's opened your mind up to this knowledge of the law, statutes, and commandments, which again is only for Israel. And where it says we're dead in the trespasses of sins, mean you were Gentiles in the world. You were following after all these other philosophies of, say, Buddhism, capitalism, democracy, Egyptology, or what have you, or the Catholic Church, Catholicism, Christianity. And to show that, this brings me to Proverbs 21, 16 through 18. The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead, or in this world living as a brute beast or a Gentile, pulled in every direction by all these wayward doctrines, wherein in time past ye walked according to the course of this world, the congregation of the dead, not in the way of truth, of the living waters of these scriptures, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. That's doublefold, because 2/3 of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are of their father, the spiritual demon Satan, the children of disobedience, by not hearkening unto the law, statutes, and commandments of their power. But it also refers to you Edomites, or so-called white people, who are also the children of disobedience, because you're the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan. Because look how you run your society. Everything is contrary to the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. You let homosexuals and lesbians and transgenderism run amok. You've got bestiality. You put pork in just about everything. You don't give the land rest for the Sabbath, so the land's mourning and causing all these earthquakes and natural disasters. You people clearly aren't the people of the book, because if you were, you'd be hearkening unto the law, statutes, and commandments, among whom also we all had our conversation in times past in the lusts of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and we were by nature the children of wrath, even as others. Salak. And now, I'm going to close it off with Ephesians chapter 2, verse 11 through 12. Wherefore remember that ye, being in time past Gentiles in the flesh, who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands. Again, the Israelites being referred to as Gentiles, and you can see how the circumcision are still persecuting the uncircumcision today, but it's more spiritual than that. Think about it like this. You've got those so-called black-only Israelites that think every Israelite looks like Wesley Snipes, and that there's no way the so-called Latinos or Native Americans are Israelites. And if they don't believe that, then how much more would they not believe a so-called Chinese person or so-called white person couldn't be an Israelite? They look at them as the uncircumcision, that at the time you were without Hamashiach, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel, point blank period, from the commonwealth of Israel. And the only people that could be a part of that commonwealth of Israel are Israelites, because they're the only people that were given the law, statutes, and commandments and understanding, and could be quickened unto this knowledge in these last days. And strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope and without the power in the world. So point blank period, with all these precepts I've gone to, it's shown that the only people the promise was for was Israel, the children of Israel, which go through the father's seed, no other nation of people